Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. Haryana votes on the 5th of October. The counting of votes will take place on the 8th of October. Now, Haryana is the first state election after the general elections of 2024. The BJP is in power there and it's facing a resurgent Congress. There are 5 major issues we'll discuss today. But first, let me introduce my guests for the evening. Joining me to discuss this are Ayush Goyal, Amitabh Tiwari, and in the studio is my colleague Brijesh Pandey. We're talking about the 5 major issues in the Haryana elections. Issue number 1, unemployment. Issue number 2, agrarian discontentment. Number 3, caste equations. Number 4, anti-incumbency. And finally, the 3-way contest between the 3 primary political parties in Haryana. But first, I want to start by asking my colleague Brijesh Pandey this. Brijesh, why does Haryana really matter in the grander scheme of things? Small state, 90 assembly seats. Why does it matter?
See, the thing is that it'll mark the arrival of Congress party back into the state politics.
Right.
They have been completely wiped out as far as the entire North India spectrum is. And, barring Himachal, they're nowhere there. So Haryana will mark their entry into the state politics. B, it will further cement their resurgence, from 52 to 100 to, they're getting to being at the totem pole of the opposition-led unity and, asserting their position in the parliament. It will further solidify their advancement if they win Haryana and if they win Haryana handsomely. Absolutely. And that is what makes Haryana very, very important for the Congress party. Very
important indeed for the Congress and its resurgence in the Hindi heartland. If you can say that. But Amitabh, this point that Brijesh made, the BJP is in power continuously there for a decade. So is it going to face is it going to bear the brunt of anti-incumbency? 10 years political party in power almost constantly.
In Haryana,
yeah,
governments after 10 years tend to lose.
Right.
Even if you see the history of INLD and even the earlier Congress government. What happens is that the local level anti-incumbency, one is the anti-incumbency against the government.
Right.
And one is the anti-incumbency against the local level MLAs. Even in 2019, there was significant anti-incumbency. And the BJP was largely saved as JJP was able to split the vote, bag 10 of the Jat-dominated seats. There are some 37 Jat influential community seats where they are more than 20%. In 2019, BJP had renominated 34 of its 47 MLAs.
Right.
Half of them lost. Congress had renominated all, half of them again lost. So there is double type of anti-incumbency and now sort of the BJP government, this double engine ki sarkar at the center also, you can say that there is a 3 levers of anti-incumbency. One is central government, which we have seen 5-5, the score in Lok Sabha. One is the state level anti-incumbency. We have seen minister getting replaced. However, wherever BJP has changed chief ministers, they have saved the state also. That's also a trend which we have seen. And then there is a local level anti-incumbency wherein we see that 50% of the sitting MLAs tend to lose elections in Haryana.
Right.
That's what makes it very interesting and complicated.
Absolutely. Double engine Sarkar facing triple incumbency, Brijesh. Ayush, there's this point that Amitabh mentioned about the anti-incumbency and, the last time the BJP was lucky it had the JJP. This time, what are the chances of the Aam Aadmi Party, which is the third corner in these contests? Will the Aam Aadmi Party be able to do what the JJP did in 2019?
What JJP did in 2019 was a better thing in the elections. Aam Aadmi Party was not even prepared to field their candidates. So far, they have only fielded 40 out of 90 seats because they were in a position to negotiate with Congress for some of the seats, which didn't happen. It's a war of relevance now. So Aam Aadmi Party, it cannot have some seats here in Haryana, they will lose their relevance in the national politics as well.
Yes.
The India alliance Earlier, they were into like power tactics, pressure tactics.
Right.
They were trying to negotiate seats everywhere, not only in Haryana, even in Punjab. But the alliance did not work out. Okay, so most of the candidates which Aam Aadmi Party has fielded in Haryana, they are not very weak leaders.
Yes.
They they were not prepared for the elections. They do
Weak
not have
leaders and the
candidates.
Aam Aadmi Party itself is on the back foot in a number of ways, given the fact the Congress is resurgent. But, Brijesh, this point that Ayush made of the fact that the Aam Aadmi Party is not in good shape. Haryana was one election that they really look forward to capturing some kind of vote share, some kind of space over there. That would mean, the Aam Aadmi Party would have a continuous presence from Punjab, Haryana and Delhi. But what went wrong for the AAP in Haryana?
Well, I think, they got too ambitious. And given the fact that right now Hudas are calling the shot, which has worked well for the Congress party.
Right.
In the last election, as Amitabh was talking about, nobody gave Congress even 15 seats.
Yes.
Forget 30 seats. And when
Right.
the result came out, it was a shocker for almost everybody
Yes.
that, Congress party won 30 seats. And, they were almost within kissing distance of forming the government had JJP not performed so spectacularly.
Yes.
And it was law of diminishing returns for the Bharatiya Janata Party. They were from forming the government on their own to forming the
Getting
government with
a alliance
JJP,
partner,
and then
yes.
in 2024, you from 10-0 you went to 5-5.
Yes.
It was already on a decline. I
Right.
think the Hudas are right now calling the shots. So irrespective of
Right.
what is going on as far as the conspiracy theories are out in the open. I think the only I think it would have been very well for the Aam Aadmi Party if they would have gone in alliance with the Congress Party.
Yes.
If they were settled for say 6 to 8 seats, and the chances for them to win maximum seats out of those 8 seats would have
Right.
been much more.
Right.
But right now that is not happening. I think if you look at the three-legged contest,
Yeah.
I think the only real challenge which the Congress faces or is facing is from within its own.
Right.
They're not facing any
Dissidents.
contest from the dissent. Yeah. So
Right.
they're not facing major challenge again
Yes.
from the BJP or from
Right.
the Aam Aadmi Party. Basically, they should be very wary of, and that is very smartly. This time they have said that no, we are not announcing any chief ministerial
Yes.
candidate. Though we all
Yes.
know, who will get to become
Right.
if Congress gets power.
There are as many
to
chief minister
to placate
candidates.
Kumari Shelja and Randeep
And
Huda's, Surjewala's
Yes.
camp. So
Yes.
that is one area
Right.
which could be a potential niggling area as far as Congress is concerned.
Right.
But otherwise, other than that, I mean, I don't think that they are on the back foot.
Interesting observation. The Congress is actually, has to contend with its own dissidents within the Congress, and there are as many possibly Congress chief minister candidates as there are, MLAs in Haryana. But Amitabh, internal dissidents within the Congress, could they wreck the Congress's chances? Given the fact that they're so close to victory, it seems like, given the vote shares that are surging, could dissidents force the Congress to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory?
So internal dissidents could be one of the big challenges for the Congress party. And I think the Congress High Command, this alliance with Aam Aadmi Party, was largely being driven by Rahul Gandhi.
Right.
So he might not have wanted to take any chances, because state units, remember, in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan were also claiming victory, and they were
Right.
fairly confident that did not happen. So there is still around, let's say, a month to go for the elections, and the biggest enemy of the Congress party, of course, is the Congress party itself, as it is said in Haryana.
Right.
There are many factions. However, the Congress has also played it deftly. They are trying to create this Jat Dalit Muslim combination. If you
Yes.
see, 54% Jat and 68% Dalits voted for the India Alliance in 2024 general elections.
Yes.
However, what is missed by many analysts is that even amongst OBCs, the India bloc got the maximum, which is 51% of their support. So by not declaring a CM candidate, what they are just trying to do is to keep the Dalit vote bank also together, because mind you, in the general election, the narrative
Yes.
that constitution would change worked in favor of the India bloc, and that is no longer true. And this position is also fairly brittle, this Jat Dalit Muslim combination.
Yes.
Because there has been history of violence also amongst these communities. So while by not announcing a CM candidate, it is trying to quell sort of discontent, dissidents, giving hope to others also that you never know, there might be a Dalit deputy chief minister or a chief minister,
Yes.
and thus keeping various caste combinations and its anchor blocks also happy in that sense.
Absolutely. Amitabh, quick question for you before I move to Ayush. Where are the Jats going to cast their vote this time? They've been out of power for a decade now, and it's rare in Haryana for the state to have a non-Jat chief minister, even in one tenure, what to talk of two consecutive tenures. Where are the Jats going to vote this time?
See, essentially, if you see the BJP in Haryana, despite winning in 2014-19, has never got the Jat community support except for 2019 Lok Sabha elections because of the Balakot airstrikes and the nationalist fervor.
Right.
This time, what has happened is that three social protests, let's say, which is one is a farmer protest, and farmers are synonym with Jats. Then we had the restless protest, which affects the women vote block, and then we have Agniveer protests again because the state sends a lot of young men to the national forces, and Haryana has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country.
Absolutely.
So these three blocks or these three movements automatically have sort of consolidated the Jat community who have been out of power.
Yes.
Because a dominant caste likes to be in power, and this anti-dominant caste politics strategy of BJP has already failed in Jharkhand. Because they had to now they lost, and Hemant Soren became the chief minister. In Maharashtra, they had to install Eknath Shinde despite having quite a number of more seats. And here also, it looks like if everything goes well for the Congress, the strategy of not keeping the dominant caste happy might just backfire because they seem to have consolidated behind the Congress party and also a few other social blocs like Dalits and Muslims.
Right. So the Jats consolidating behind the Congress, and that's good news for the Congress. It probably adds to their chances of victory there in Haryana. But Ayush, this caste matrix in Haryana has always been very important. The BJP played its cards well when they engineered a caste coalition for two consecutive elections. Which way is it going to go for the BJP this time? How are they going to play their caste cards on the 5th of October?
BJP is already on the back foot.
Right.
They could not adjust Jat leaders properly in last 10 years.
Yes.
So there has been like growing resentment. See, almost 25% of the voters in Haryana are Jats. So they have always been supporting Congress and the Chautalas.
Right.
So this time also Jat will go the Congress way or the Chautalas way. See, there is no leadership right now. There has to be a strong leader, there has to be a strong candidate to win the election. It's not about the party, it's about the candidate.
Right.
If you place a right candidate, and you will win the elections. This is how the BJP has done the caste equation while distributing the tickets. They have clearly said, we'll give the ticket to the winning candidate. That's it. So that's how many of the ministers and MLAs did not find their place. Even strong ministers did not find their place in the ticket allocation. Secondly, now it's Punjabi and the Ahir voter, right? How Khattar has played his role in allocating the tickets to his favorite ones. Then Rao Indrajit has played very crucial roles to get tickets for his loved ones.
The Ahir votes,
right? So, the Ahir votes. So the Ahirwal belt has always been a deciding factor who will form the government in Haryana.
Right.
It's not new, it's been long. So Rao Indrajit has been sidelined by the Modi government once again. Khattar has been given a powerful ministry, the power minister, is the power minister, is the cabinet minister. Rao Indrajit is not.
Right. So a lot of concern for the BJP indeed. Yes, Ayush, lots of concerns for the BJP when it comes to this caste matrix, this caste dynamics of Haryana. It's more complex than many other small states of that size. But Brijesh, the two big issues there, which are probably number one and number two, we're coming to it at the very end, which is the Jai Jawan and the Jai Kisan, which is, you're talking of the Agniveer scheme and of course the unhappiness within the farm sector with the BJP particularly. How critical are these two constituencies going to be for this election? Given the high unemployment there, and the fact that Haryana is one of the largest senders of soldiers to the Indian Army.
Big. And I think, you must also add the wrestling protest
yes,
to
of
that.
Course.
The fact of the matter is that, that BJP, the BJP party chief JP Nadda had to read a riot act to Brijbhushan Saran Singh. The way he went about talking about, after Vinesh Fogart joined and he went about attacking, they immediately realized that the more he says, one single word against Vinesh Fogart, the way Brijbhushan Saran Singh was saying, will put BJP in a shade more negative. And that is something which they wanted to avoid. Agniveer is a big issue there. And it's one of the key issues as far as the state of Haryana is concerned, and BJP has not covered itself in glory in in explaining the benefits of this scheme, other than your sending a deluge of WhatsApp messages and saying that this is how this is how this scheme is very beneficial in the long run, in the interest of the country and the army. And farmer protest is also something which the BJP will feel the real pinch this time. And these three are the one, apart from anti-incumbency, apart from historical legacy, that nobody has come to power third time straight on trot as far as the state is concerned. So the BJP right now has everything that could go wrong going against them.
Yes, absolutely, Brijesh, and well put. The fact that troubles, as they say, come in battalions, and in this case it's even more significant given the fact that the Agniveer scheme, which is could possibly backfire. It's a great scheme, incidentally, but possibly it's not been communicated, as you just said. Amitabh, Agniveer, farmer protests, and finally the wrestlers, the the backlash from Vinesh Fogart and the kind of spat that Brijbhushan Saran Singh has been involved in. How critical are these three factors going to be? 1, 2, and 3.
So these factors already played a role in the 2024 general elections. What these factors or these three protests do is that they expand the horizon or the anchor voting segments of the Congress party beyond the Jat community. So if you see farmers, 61% of farmers voted for the India bloc in 2024 general elections. If you see women, 49% women voted for the India bloc, 20% higher than 2019 general election. And if you see youth, which is 18 to 25 category, largely applies for these jobs. In the army, 47% again, and 18% jump. So we've already seen a significant consolidation of these three discontented groups against BJP in the general elections, and that's what led to this 5-5 sort of a thing. In terms of assembly segments, it is 46-44, 46 India bloc and 44 BJP. Now we've seen that BJP tends to lose vote share and assembly leads in state elections compared to general elections, because in general elections the ticket of the prime minister or the name of the prime minister is on the ticket. So in 2019 they were leading in 79 Vidhan Sabha seats, but they ultimately ended up with 40. Now they are leading in 44, correct? So they could end up at pretty low levels if the Congress does not score self goals and is able to keep up the momentum. So these three blocks have broadened the horizon or the target voting segment of the Congress party, and that's what probably is working in its favor.
Absolutely. Well put, Amitabh. The fact that these three blocks, the farmers, the youth and the women, the consolidation of these three blocks could actually bring very dire news for the BJP. Brijesh, it doesn't seem like anything is working in the BJP's favor in Haryana.
It is not. And the thing is that they have also not looked like that they have also not learned the lesson from 2024 debacle. What has happened is that, the change of chief minister, it is not working for them. Because, and the people are trying to say, oh, what has Naib Singh Saini done and what all. I mean, he's just too little a tenure for him to make any kind of, impact there. Manohar Lal Khattar, despite his removal from the post of chief minister and elevated as a cabinet minister, given much more prominence than Ravindrajit, as fellow panelist was saying, has also added to the discomfort of the party rather than helping the party. It is Khattar again who is having a bigger say in deciding of the tickets which are being distributed, which has led to a lot more heartburn, because people say that if he is the one who has to play the decisive role,
Right.
then why did you remove him?
Yes.
So, it is that the BJP did not go for the surgical strike, the political surgical strike for which it was very famous for.
Yes.
And the kind of desertion which is happening, it's every single day you see one or two top office bearers, one or two ex-MPs, MLAs and all deserting, and it's not a good indication at all.
It's a Ram Vilas Paswan effect.
It's a Ram Vilas Paswan effect. And
they know which way the wind is blowing.
Exactly. And that is the reason why the BJP has not been able to, because the narrative is definitely not suiting them.
Right,
and if the Congress wins this particular state, then I think, the next state elections in Maharashtra, the Congress will go all guns blazing, with their spirits as high as possible.
Absolutely. And that is the crux here. It's the Haryana elections could open the door, a victory of the Congress in the Haryana elections could open the door for possibly an even bigger victory in Maharashtra, and that is the clinching election before Uttar Pradesh. But that's a story for another day. Thank you very much, Amitabh and Ayush and my colleague Brijesh Pandey for joining us this evening. You just heard the 5 big factors that could decide the Haryana state elections. 2024 has witnessed one of the most furiously contested presidential elections in US history. We've seen one candidate survive an assassination attempt. That's Donald Trump. And we've seen a sitting US president's election campaign collapse on television. That's Joe Biden. Well, today was another one of those big upsets. Vice President Kamala Harris was pitted against Donald Trump, and she came out with flying colors. Is it advantage Kamala Harris, we're asking? And what can US and the world look forward to should Kamala Harris win the elections this November? Let's not forget, Indians have skin in the game on both sides. Kamala Harris's mother, Shamala, is of Indian origin. And Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, is from Andhra Pradesh. But what could today's debate mean for the US presidential elections? Joining me to discuss this are Ambassador Suresh K. Goyal, Dr. Vineet Prakash, the JNU, and my colleague Anthony Rosario. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. I want to start by asking you this. Ambassador Goyal, what did you think of the debate today? Kamala Harris, all guns blazing, Trump shaken but not stirred?
Absolutely. It was a great debate, I must say. I have only part of it. I'm sorry, I'm not a very early riser.
Right.
My son did get up around 6 o'clock to listen to the debate, and I saw the debate on BBC and the other channels afterwards.
Yes.
It was a very interesting debate in the sense that even earlier during the campaign period, Kamala Harris had managed to really put Trump in a very delicate position by focusing on his weak areas, on his really those sensitive points. And today in the debate, again, as she began, she clearly showed Trump that he will have to, he will be basically running on a negative kind of an image that Trump has developed already.
Yes.
I mean, for example, talking about the economy, the way he went about the economy, the plans, even if he didn't give the detail, at least, and the phrases she used, tired rhetoric, a candidate who is contesting the elections after having been involved in several cases, sex charges, all those things she brought into focus right in the beginning of the debate.
Right.
And that really rattled Trump. I found that at the end of it, he was quite rattled, really.
He was quite rattled, and he actually looked a lot like Joe Biden did, a little over a month ago. It looks like the tables are turned. But Dr. Vineet Prakash, how did the candidates do on these 5 major issues that really matter for the United States? That's immigration policy, the economy, abortion, of course, foreign policy, and of course, Trump's legal battles and Kamala Harris's racial identity. Let's take them one at a time. Firstly, the economy. Kamala Harris came out with a very clear plan that she had to fix the US economy. Your thoughts on this?
Definitely, Trump has his own positions on the economy. So his primary plan is that he would increase tariffs, and that is going to somehow make the US economy better.
Yes.
So Harris did counter that by saying that it is going to make things more expensive. Both candidates have their own positions on the economy, and it's interesting to see how it pans out. I mean, how it gains traction with the voters in America. So economy is definitely a important issue. Inflation is a very important concern.
Right.
Cost of living is a very important concern with voters, and all these are going to play a very crucial role in who they are going to vote for in November.
Right, absolutely. Immigration policy, Ambassador Goel, how crucial would that be? Both candidates took that up very seriously because immigrants flooding into the United States is a very major campaign plank for Trump. Of course, he did talk about cats and dogs, and that's like running memes all over social media now. The fact that immigrants are eating people's pets,
Yes.
cats and dogs.
Very important issue. Immigrants, basically, because it does impact on the economy, it impacts on the unemployment situation in the country, etc.,
Right.
etc. It's an issue on which Republicans have a policy which is very
Yes.
serious, which actually can be debated in a very effective manner. But the problem is that when Trump launched into this kind of a thing that they are eating their American pets, they are eating cats and dogs, he became a laughing stock, and you could see Kamala Harris really sniggering at him from the
Yes,
corner.
yes.
Now, even though immigration is a very serious issue,
Yes.
Trump really emerged as a non-serious candidate,
Right.
even on a serious issue on like immigration.
Right.
So ultimately, I think Kamala Harris, even without saying much on what
Yes.
plan will be on the immigration, she actually won the point.
She won the point indeed. And Dr. Vineet Prakash, foreign policy, another big thing for the United States, because the United States is the world's only superpower. It's a global cop.
Likes to
And
believe.
yes, and the visuals out of Afghanistan didn't do its image very, it didn't do much for its image of retreat. I mean, it was like Saigon in 1970s. But how did the two candidates handle this exit from Afghanistan?
This is one issue which is very tricky for Harris because she is part of the administration which
Yes.
took the decision to withdraw from Afghanistan or executed the decision to withdraw. So definitely she was bold enough to own the decision. So that is something which I think will go in her favor.
Right.
And secondly, she was very deftly able to point out that it was Trump who negotiated with the terrorist organization Taliban.
And brought them to Camp David and featured them in
Yeah.
Camp David. Yes.
Yeah, so that is something which was executed very well, as if you look at it from the debate point of view, and it is I think going to gain traction with voters as well. So the fact that it is only Biden's blame regarding what happened in Afghanistan, that is not going to stick later in the campaign. So that was one gain from this discussion.
It's not going to stick indeed, yes. And all the positives that Trump had. Yes, please continue, Dr. Prakash.
Secondly, it clearly showed that she's a strong woman. Like Trump has been saying all this while that she's not going to be able to handle important leaders of the world, and she's would not be able to conduct herself in those meetings. So today's debate clearly showed that all those things are false claims.
They're false claims, and she held her ground and some more.
Yeah.
So this is possibly a turning point in the US elections, because presidential debates, they kind of help the candidates not so much as they help the electors, the voters, make up their mind on which candidate they're going to vote for. And Kamala Harris had a lot more riding on this than Donald Trump, given the fact that there was a large number of Democrats that didn't know her, and they do today. And that's going to work in her favor. Anthony, you're nodding very quietly over there listening to this whole debate, but tell us how close we are to seeing a President Kamala Harris in the White House.
Well, as of now, I think Kamala Harris does. The fight between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is neck to neck. If you consider just one TV debate, I'm not too sure if that should be put into consideration. But as we've seen in 2016, when the race between Hillary Clinton was seemingly ahead of Donald Trump, but when the election results came and Hillary Clinton was defeated, and it was a shocking sort of an episode for the Democrats, right?
That's the last time a woman came close to being the president of the United States.
Yeah, that was the last time, and then she was very close, heartbeat away from presidency, as we call it. Kamala Harris, of course, on her own merits probably could be at par, but then one can never say as to, because this election is really close. A couple of days back, we knew that Kamala Harris was leading. Now there's some reports that say, oh, Trump is leading. Now if the fight is neck to neck, there's a fair chance that there's a margin of error, a statistical margin of errors, which could place Trump ahead of Kamala Harris. And also the fact that a lot of people say that, a lot of Trump supporters are silent supporters, because they're maybe embarrassed, or otherwise they do not want to reveal in public in these surveys that they're Trump supporters, and that could very well hide that a factor in those polls. So one can never say. But of course, going by this presidential debate, Kamala Harris definitely has an edge, very close to the White House. But I think the devil lies in the details.
Devil lies in the details, and you're, of course, spoken to us about 2016, that it's too early to pronounce mission accomplished, and it ain't over until it's over, and that's just a month away from now, and of course we'll know the results very soon. But Ambassador Goel, closing comments from you. We know President Donald Trump. We've dealt with him for 4 years. President Kamala Harris, how much more different is it going to be from a Biden administration? Is it going to be a continuation of the same?
I think she has made it very clear that her economic policies are going to be different. They will be tweaked from Biden's economic policies.
Yes.
And I think also on the foreign policy, we could see a difference, as we have seen in her remarks on Afghanistan, certainly more engaged with the world, or equally engaged with the world. But again, basically a national agenda coming to the fore. So there could be slight tweaking, but the economic policy, there will be quite a bit of a change, I'm quite certain. Employment, growth, small businesses. But one thing that you mentioned, Sandeep, and I just wanted to focus on that. This is besides the economy and the agenda. Kamala Harris having an Indian origin, having an Indian mother, or once having an Indian wife, means nothing.
Right, absolutely.
Means nothing. They are Americans. For them, America comes first. And American interest will come first, whatever it is, and therefore we need to remain cautious. We need to know where our interests are. And yes, that's all.
Ambassador Goel, I'd like to point out, of course, this point never came up. Although she was very close to her mother, and probably when her parents separated, she was actually cradled by her mother in a very black neighborhood. And then she continues to identify as a black woman and not as a woman of Indian origin. Now that could be because of her very the black neighborhood in Oakland where she grew up, the black Harvard University where she went to, or very well a matter of convenience, because a black woman in America versus an Indian woman here, you choose who's going to fare better. So I think.
And Trump said it doesn't really matter for him. Right?
Probably Trump didn't know, apparently.
Yes,
if Trump is to be
kind
believed.
of dodged that question. But Dr. Vineet Prakash, how does how does President Kamala Harris work for India? Because we have to see what India's interests are in the White House. Will they be better served by Kamala Harris or by Donald Trump, old friend of India?
See, the India-US relationship is driven more by strategic factors rather than personalities either in India or in the White House. So I would say it won't make much of a difference. The India-US relationship would continue on its upward trajectory because both countries have interests which meet at some point, and both countries in a way need each other. Who needs the other more, that can be debated, but both countries do share interests at the moment. And it is likely to persist in future as well. So I think even if, say, Trump is there or Harris is there, it is not going to matter much.
It's not going to matter much. Indeed, the India-US relationship is founded on a strategic concerns for both sides, and they're united by a lot more things than they are divided. But of course, the President of the United States makes a big difference. The President of the United States is the world's most powerful politician. And in a month's time, we'll know whether it's going to be President Donald Trump again, or will it be Lotus for POTUS, President Kamala Harris. Keep watching this space. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, gentlemen.